Merced County's news voice since 1936. News Talk 1480, KYOS, Merced.
Greetings from the KYOS News Desk. We are joined this week once again by Merced County Supervisor, Mr. John Pedroso. You and I are sitting here kind of looking at each other, and what we said was we didn't want to talk in any length or detail about the Super Bowl and the 49er loss, but there was a word that we collectively wanted to use that we thought might not be appropriate for the
we better not. Thanks, Steve.
So, what are your parting shots on the 49ers season?
Why in the hell didn't they run the ball to the left side a couple times? And
2 timeouts left at the 5-yard line?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand the play calling. I haven't watched any football or highlights or listened to anything, so it's baseball season in my eyes.
And I was going to say, you got the Giants as your saving grace.
But we can't. We had a great season, so I mean we're just spoiled because we never lost a Super Bowl. So it's unfortunate.
Would it be fair to say that the Super Bowl illustrated who the best coach in the Harbaugh family is?
Let me say it like this, because I know Josh kept saying this. You know, you don't want your younger brother to beat you.
Yeah.
You know, because I know what my sons used to do all the time and the fights that they used to get into. So, yeah, you know, the older brother always wants to win.
Yeah.
You know, I have 2 younger brothers.
Is Jim the older one?
No, John is.
John, okay.
So, anyways, but...
John's the coach of Baltimore.
Right.
Jim is the coach of the 49ers.
And to be honest, other than... and I know some of my anti-49er fans... friends that aren't 49er fans are going to say that, you know, we're whining and all this, but the 49ers, if you look at statistics in that Super Bowl, they outplayed the Ravens, but I think Jim Harbaugh got outcoached by his brother, and every time Jim Harbaugh gets outcoached in a game, it shows what happens to us, that we lose. And you know, one thing that you have to realize too, and I hate to keep going on about this because now I'm gonna start getting mad.
We'll talk. We'll end with the Giants.
But anyway, you can't go in and be down by points in the first half,
22-6 at halftime,
and always having to be coming back. You can't do that.
No.
You know, but 49ers, they'll be back. I mean, their team's too good. They're too solid. They got too much depth on their team. We know now Colin Kaepernick's the real deal. Why he didn't run one time, call to the left in that last series of plays is beyond me.
That last series when they had to take that timeout rather than take the 5-yard penalty, that was going to be a touchdown. It was a quarterback draw to the left. He was getting ready to take off.
I know. It doesn't make any sense. Anyways.
Wasn't meant to be, John.
Congratulations to the Ravens, and let's move on.
Right.
It's baseball season.
And just to address
Arizona.
Just to address your anti-49er friends who tell you to quit whining, nobody likes to lose.
Right.
And my uncle always told me, you show me someone that likes to lose and I'll show you a loser. Or accepts losing, and
exactly.
It just, hey, we got beat. We can sulk,
right?
And now it's over. We
over.
Congratulate the victors, and now it's on to baseball season and the defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants.
Yes, sir.
Now they're going to have their hands full this year with those boys across the bay. My guys over there in Oaktown.
Oh no, they're going to be good. But you know what? That's the good part, though. I mean, it's the bad thing is that since the 49ers lost the Super Bowl, the Sharks haven't won a game, and neither has the Golden State Warriors.
Oh no!
So
no, it's contagious.
That's not good.
That's
so,
right.
Anyways, the good thing is, we go right. It's been, and we were fortunate to have a long baseball season and the short off season for baseball, and now they're back in Arizona. And next, the 23rd will be the first broadcast of baseball on.
Yep.
So, and the colleges are all starting to play now,
and life goes on.
Fresno State has some big games coming up with USC. I think in the 1st of March, they're going to be in Fresno.
Are you a big follower of Fresno State baseball?
I used to be because we used to follow Doug Fister quite a bit, and then a couple of the other local boys.
Was Fister on that team that won the World Series? Or was that after
no,
him?
that was after.
After him?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, so we used to go all the time. My daughter used to date a fellow that from Merced that played on there, so we used to follow them quite a bit. And then when Doug got on there, we followed him, and so and with one of my sons living in Fresno, we're gonna rekindle that again, make that happen
now,
again.
before we move on to some serious business here, did you tell me that you're going to go down to spring training and hang for a little bit? That's cool.
We'll do that. Yeah. We do that. We've done that the last 4 years.
Were they at Scottsdale?
Yeah, Scottsdale, and then we have a really nice time, and it's fun, and it's just on a weekend, so I don't take days off.
Yeah. And, you can save up your pennies and actually go down there and put a uniform on and everything.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Come on,
you don't
John.
want to see me in a.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I used to love playing it, but
all right, right on.
Like
Well, let's move on to some serious stuff here. Not serious per se, but you've just finished up your town hall meetings. How'd that all go?
Well, I still got 2 more to go, but we
Okay.
just had one. We had one last week in Planada, and a fantastic turnout. And I got to tell you, and I think I said this on our show a couple weeks ago. The format, we changed the format to where the departments each set up in stations, and then people break up into to go directly to the departments. And there was an article in the paper the other day that it was really kind of frustrating to me, because it made it seem like there was a lot of negativity that was out in the Planada area about questions not being answered. And there's a dairy out there that has smell, and there's an animal control. Well, we make sure that we have all the necessary departments out there that I think are, and I'm not saying that all the departments in the county aren't important, because they are. Each one has their own responsibility. But we get the departments out there that I think are going to have some questions directed at them, whether it's animal control, public works, health department, mental health. I mean, I think there's 28 departments in the county, and I think out of the 28, we have at least 25 of them there.
Wow.
All with either the department head or a representative from there. And then plus we have Senator Canella's office there, Congressman Coss's office, and Assemblyman Adam Gray's office. Plus,
well, if that group can't answer your question, I don't know who can.
Well, and that's how that's what I say is, if we don't get your question answered, it's not because I haven't tried like hell to get it answered. And if you do have a question and we don't get the answer to you here, I can guarantee you that someone will get back to you, whether it's me or one of the departments. But if I don't know about something, and if we don't know about something, if someone doesn't make the call, I can't solve the problem, or we can't solve the problem. So we need to know these things. We need to know that there's a pack of dogs running around by the post office in Planada in order to get animal control out there to do their sweep or whatever they're going to do. Or if there's drugs growing behind a house or something, we can't do anything unless, and I know people are intimidated because they don't want to give out their name and all that stuff, but a lot of this stuff you can do without stating, giving your name or anything. And, we look into it and see if we can make it work. Whether it's potholes in an alley, or whether it's a train crossing that isn't working right. These are all departments or all things that we can look into. And it was ironic the other day that after the Planada one, a really good constituent, a friend of mine in Planada came up to me at the meeting and said that they were having trouble on the BNSF. The crossing guards are going down, and it's right during school hours, so it's pretty hectic there on Plainsburg, getting over to Cesar Chavez school. And people would have to go around the crossing arms because they wouldn't go back up. Well, it worked out pretty good. I happened to run into one of the reps for the BNSF, and they got right on it that morning. So I called and did a follow-up call to make sure that, they knew that we were there taking care of it. So that's what you try to do, Steve, and that's what I try to do on these town hall meetings. And yeah, they are, it's a challenge because you don't know who's going to be there, what is important to them, but you want to be prepared. And with the help of the departments and the people that are there, they work out real well.
Right. And I've always applauded you on your open door policy. I mean, you are out there actively talking to your constituents, and your door is always open to any type of comment or complaint. And that's really, as a constituent, all you can ask for is that the line of communication be open. And I think you do a real good job at that.
Well, I think that's probably one of the most important parts about being an elected official. And we have more control here in the county level than anywhere. And that's what's so good about this. I was telling Dee Dee Adamo, who works for Congressman Costa's office, and she used to be with Congressman Cardoza. But I don't care, and I don't want to sound, but I don't care how much education you have, and I don't care. I mean, it's all well and good. That's not what I'm saying, but it's the way you work with people and network with people and communicate with people and follow up on stuff. And I'm not saying I know I slip through the cracks sometimes and I lax on things. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I know I'm not. But, I said this the other day, and I know I listened to your show last week about transparency and how people need to realize that they need to feel comfortable and they need to see what's going on.
Exactly.
And the more you tell them, the better it is, so they feel comfortable. Steve, this past week, it's unbelievable. I've been swamped with constituent issues, whether it's assessed value, properties, and whether it's, taxes that haven't been paid, or if it's been, road that needs to be graded, but this is all part of our job. But I think I have a good rapport with all the departments and stuff, and they really go out and they bend over backwards to make it happen. I was at a Thursday night, or this past Wednesday. I want to commend the city of Livingston, because they're putting together a strategic plan for the city of Livingston, and it's not going to have a community plan, business plan, to where they can make their city better. And it's through Mike Dozier and Cal State University Fresno, and it was a long session. It was from 5:30 to it was almost 9 o'clock when we got out of there, but it was really informative of programs that are out there, of how you can put something together in the smaller incorporated communities and the unincorporated communities, but focusing kind of on the smaller communities, and to help them get grants and to get businesses to look at these smaller communities and what they had there. And I want to commend Jose Ramirez, because he's the city manager over there, is getting some of the people that have been involved in the community or involved in the community now, some dignitaries, but get input from everybody. So what this structure was you get a group of, I think around 18 to 25 people that are on this board, and they meet, I want to say, about once a month. They form this group, and then it takes about 8 months to get through this process, but then you set your goals. And then you can expound on your goals by going to these different organizations that help you get grants or help you get businesses to come to the communities.
Sure.
And it's shown in some of these.
How are we doing on that? Do you know offhand, county-wise? I mean, have we landed any big fish, any new companies?
Not lately, but there's things happening though. And
it feels like things are happening. I mean, the stock market's taking off. There's a lot of people that have money they want to spend.
I'm telling you,
it seems like people are starting to make moves.
We're starting to see things that, you want to be business friendly, and I think that's what we need to focus on. I'm not just saying Livingston, I'm saying countywide.
Absolutely.
And that's why I want to commend Mark Hendrickson, when he was in here a while back, and we're going through this one-stop shop now to where you're trying to streamline everything. Absolutely. And it's a great feeling to go to a one-stop shop, to where all you do is go around to three little different areas in the same building.
But the other facet of that is you got to get people in there shopping, so to speak.
Exactly.
We need the guy that's going out there and
Right.
establishing relationships and building relationships with potential
So people will come
employers to come
you
out
know.
here and do that. So it's two-faceted. I mean, you can work hard and make sure that you're prepared once you get them here.
Right.
But then there's another just as equally important facet where you have to be sending people out to court these people that have the capabilities of establishing
Exactly.
relationships
And
with these individuals to get them to take a chance on our community.
And you just said a key again is you got to build the relationships. And I was telling Dee Dee the other day in my office, you know, you need to build those relationships to where whatever it is, whether it's an issue that, you know, a constituent has, but you can make a phone call and they're going to look into it, you know, whether it's a, you know, that's what, like at these town hall meetings. And I don't want to be bouncing all over the place, but at the town hall meetings, when you have Senator Canella's office there and you have a DMV issue or you have, you know, a tax issue with the state or something, they're there to address it.
Yeah.
And I've seen it.
Speaking real quickly, this is kind of a tangent also, but I was talking to some guys from the Tea Party this morning, and they said that there is a bill right now in California that they might triple the vehicle license fees. Have you heard anything about that?
You know, I haven't heard. I know there's been talk about it, but I haven't heard.
Triple?
I've heard about that, but you know, I mean, the Tea Party seems like they find out information before some of us do.
They're very vigilant about that.
You know,
but if they do triple the vehicle,
well, they're vigilant about a lot of things.
They are, and that's an aspect of them that I respect. I don't necessarily agree with everything they say, but they are definitely participating.
No, and that's a good thing. That's
what I was going to say, if they do end up tripling this vehicle sales tax, do you have some money you can loan me?
No, I don't.
Real quick before I let you go, we talked about this briefly with Josh last week about the MCAG, the Merced County Association of Governments, and the appointing of the new director. Who can you tell us where we're at on that?
Yeah,
is that a done deal now? I know that the rub was there was an interim director,
right,
and then the interim was dropped to the chagrin of some of the members of the MCAG because they didn't feel like they got to participate in the process. Or can you clarify that for me? Or
well, there was a process that was done, and they had 14 applicants, and then they narrowed it down to 5 applicants, I believe. And then out of the 5, 3, I guess, dropped out, and then there was 2 left. And they had 2 days of interviews with both the finalists, and they're in negotiations with one of them right now, and the final decision will be announced.
When you say they're in negotiations, as far as like salary package
and stuff, so
that's not a set thing. I mean, you don't advertise that this is what it pays, and you know this is the package prior to the interviews. That's negotiable after you pick a candidate.
You set a base. You go anywhere from 122,000 to I believe 142,000. Okay. You know, so that's how you negotiate and see. You know,
so it's a minimum of 122 and it's a maximum of 142.
Yeah, around that way area. So. Then
maybe that individual can loan me some money for my vehicle license.
I don't know. Why don't you ask her?
That's good cash.
Ask the person and see what happens.
So are you comfortable with everything? Because you are a member of the MCAG,
right?
Correct?
There's 11 of us. There's five of us from the board, and then each surrounding incorporated community has a representative, whether it's a mayor or one of their council members on there, but usually it's the mayors. So this hadn't been done in 18 years. They've never, because Jess Brown, who was really good, and there's some tough shoes to fill.
Sure, absolutely. And if my understanding is correct, the person that you ultimately decided on was he mentored this gal. This gal was his underling, if you will.
Yeah.
For the last many years.
Yeah, as long as I've been on the board, and I'm going on my 9th year now.
And she was ultimately hired to replace Jess.
Well, yes, and
that's where the kind of the rub was, is that maybe the pool wasn't large enough. I mean, is that?
Well, I mean, but it's not like that they didn't go out nationally and look for someone.
And then we just didn't have a very high response.
And not like I thought there would be.
Right. Why? What do you attribute that to?
I don't know.
I really don't know.
But this is a hard.
$122,000 a year,
at least
up to $142,000 a year.
Right.
That's a high paying job in this economy. You'd think you would have a plethora. But, I mean, I was talking to somebody that went down to interview for a county secretarial job, and there were 60 applicants for that job.
Yeah, no, they're yeah.
So what? I mean, what do you think keeps people from?
I don't know. Maybe the complexity of the position, because you have a lot of joint powers of authority now that has or it was joint powers of authority, but now here at MCAG, they oversee the waste management department now. They oversee
the Caltrans contracts and all that
Caltrans.
stuff. Yeah, they've got a lot of power. That's a very powerful organization.
They oversee the bus, the municipal bus.
Because you're part of it.
But and it's a good organization, and
has it been running well?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. There's some hiccups. I think there's some things that need to be a little more transparent than what it is right now. That's my personal opinion, and I think that we can work on that. I mean, Johnny Mays, the mayor from Dos Palace, is the chairman this year. It rotates every year from a city to a county.
Did he have an opinion on the process?
I don't know. I think we all can say that we've had opinions on the process.
Well, if he's the chairman.
And some think it's better than ever.
Because my understanding was there was a quorum called and not everybody was allowed to participate in the final say. I mean, can you clarify what the rub was?
No, that's not
true.
Okay.
And sit me straight here.
You get your information, Steve. I don't know where it is.
From the Sun-Star, to be honest.
But no, there's always been a quorum. There's never not been a quorum. At any of the meetings to make decisions. I can assure you of that.
Was the accusation that the interim being dropped from the candidate's name caught some MCAG members by surprise?
Yes, this is true.
And how did that come about?
That was probably a tough... and I'm not doing a cover-up here, so I want to stress that. I'm not doing a cover-up. But it was probably a typographical error that shouldn't have been put in until after the final decision is made. And like I said, the negotiations
was the interim drop before the final negotiations were made?
Yes.
And is that typical for the process, or
no, but there was only it was posted that we were having this special meeting to go over negotiations, and not on the front page of the agenda, but on a couple. If you went through the packet, if you will, there was in one spot of it said didn't have interim on for Margie Kern. It had director Margie Kern on it. So, anyways, but I think the Sun-Star was making more out of it than what it really was, because I mean it might have been an oversight because nothing had been approved yet. So,
but you feel very confident that we got the best person for the job?
With the decision of the board, I can accept the decision of the board, yes. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. And, like I said, it's going to have tough shoes to fill. And we'll just see and hope. Like you said earlier, MCAG is a big organization. It does a lot of good things, and it needs really good leadership, because there's some things that are happening right now with Caltrans and with the high-speed rail and all the activity. I think we've said this numerous times is Merced County has a lot to be proud of right now because of all the activity that's going on the 99 corridor right now. Whether it's the AME, the Atwater Motor Expressway, or it's the 99 package down there at the Plainsburg and Arboleta interchange that's going on, or it's the Bradley overpass, which I have some concerns about how that is right now. But we're seeing projects that are coming to fruition now, and we're actually seeing things happening. And that's why I'm saying, and I was telling someone this just day before yesterday, that we're starting to see things get better. We're starting to see that.
Right. And I think we're starting to see that nationally. I'm just praying to God that Merced County jumps on the train this time.
Yeah.
I hope
no pun intended.
Exactly.
And don't get me in trouble on that again.
Wasn't meant to be a pun. Yeah. But you know what I mean? I hope we get to participate this time.
No, I really think so. But Steve, our saving grace here in this county is there's two things. Is the UC, because it's just growing. And I encourage everyone to go out there and see what it was, to think back what it was 10 years ago, to go take a walk and just see. Because whether you're accepted or not, it's here and it's going to stay.
And UC does everything first class.
Exactly.
And they really do.
It's a
first class operation.
Exactly. But that's the first thing. And I think the second and most important is our ag and our ag economy.
Amen.
And
Yep.
I tell you, to see the property values of ag land right now, they're appraising almond tree ground with trees on it at $20,000 an acre. And open land is like $15,000 an acre. So it's reversed from what it was in 2005 when farming was, it's always been good, but I mean, it takes its peaks and valleys, if you will. But, when everybody was selling development ground for astronomical prices, you're seeing these ag land values, climbing because, like my dad always used to say, God rest his soul, they don't make any more dirt.
Nope.
And, if we still want to be the number one in the world in agriculture,
and I think
that's why our ag values have to stay like they are.
We have to stay very vigilant on that to make sure that we don't pave over the dirt.
Exactly.
Because that's what drives us here.
So, and then that's what's so important, and I know we need to wind up, but, that's what's so important about having these visions and having these general plans, whether it's for the city or for the county, and working together to make sure that when these plans are developed, that we're maintaining what our strengths are, and agriculture is our strength.
Amen. So
we need to focus on that, and make it viable, and hopefully that, the dairy industry will turn around to where, their cost of production and to where they can make some money and not everything goes out. So, we don't want to see that.
Those dairy farmers are pretty savvy, though. They'll figure out a way.
Most of them are, yes.
A lot of them have that vertical integration where they'll grow their own stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know. And, but we're lucky here because in the valley, it's just, we're blessed.
Amen.
So we can't forget about that.
Amen, John.
So,
is there anything you need to get out there before I let you go, my friend?
Just, tomorrow night is the Japanese-American JACL dinner, Bob Taniguchi and them.
So
and
that'll be
that's
February the 16th?
It's February 16th at the fairgrounds. And then I believe the following, what do I have on the 21st? I have my town hall meeting in Livingston. They start at 6:30. That's at City Hall. And then on the 23rd, there's 2 crab feeds. The Merced FFA is having one at the high school at North Campus, and then Merced North Rotary is also having a crab feed at the fairgrounds. And the World Series trophy, we didn't bring that up, but I got to take a picture with that last Monday, which was great. But then it's going to be back in.
Big turnout?
Very nice turnout.
Yeah.
Brian Bain from the County Parks and Recreation did an excellent job of getting it here. And it'll be in Atwater on the 20th at the Community Center in Livingston, or in Atwater. And I think that's at 5:30 to 7:30. But a little plug real quick for the Junior Giants program. What it's doing now is they're reaching out to some of the these communities that don't have the funds to maintain this program, to start up these programs. And I'm really excited about one that they're going to start out in Planada. So I'm hoping people go out and support this because it is, and it's kind of neat, not because I'm a big Giants fan, but it is kind of neat to see, Major League Baseball get involved in the Valley because of all the support that they do bring to San Francisco,
Absolutely.
For the Giants.
Absolutely.
So with that, have a great week.
All right, Mr. John.
We have a long weekend because Monday's a holiday.
That is true.
For President
Kids are
Day.
out of school today and Monday, and it's going to be a good one.
So
any special plans?
Not really. The weather's going to be nice, but then we need some rain, and so.
Yeah. Well, this weekend, get out and enjoy the weather.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be cold and rainy again next week.
Say hello to your neighbors.
You got it.
We're all in this together.
Exactly.
All right, John.
Have a great week. See you in 2.
Merced County's news voice since 1936. News Talk 1480, KYOS, Merced.
Greetings from the KYOS News Desk. We're joined once again this week in person by Merced County Sheriff, Mr. Mark Pazin. Last week, Mark, we were on the horn from Southern California.
Correct.
Where you were at the California Sheriff's Association meeting?
Yes.
And you were there just kind of putting together your official stance on the Second Amendment gun right debate?
Well, we have a number of issues with the California State Sheriff's Association, notwithstanding the federal laws and these quasi-executive orders that impact us all. or slightly impact us because they're just executive orders and these thoughts from the president. But more importantly, all the sheriffs get together. There's only 58 of us here in the county.
How often do you do that?
Every couple of months.
Okay.
And we go north, south, north, south. A couple months ago, we met in Modesto. Just to go over legislative issues, there are a number of items that we address as it pertains to the public safety category, wherein, unfortunately, there are liberal forces that do not believe anybody commits a crime, that it is a substance abuse problem, they had a bad day at school, whatever it is.
They weren't raised right.
Their
dad yelled at them too loud.
Yeah, somebody raised their voice, this, that, and the other. The bottom line is some of these persons are just wired wrong. I don't mind helping those that want help, that seek help, that will accept help. But when you have persons that use it to abuse it by getting a free pass, by extending their adjudication process, that's where I start to get upset.
I know there's two issues though you mentioned though. You guys get together and discuss issues not only at the federal but the state, I'm sure also.
Yes.
And one of the things that I heard, and I don't know if you can clarify this or not, that there was a bill passed or introduced, not passed, but just introduced, that basically it was the homeless Bill of Rights, if you will, that they have the right to park their vehicle on a public right of way and sleep in it if they want. There's no crime against urinating in public. They have the right to congregate on public property. I mean, have you heard anything pertaining to that?
There was something to that. I think it came out. I shouldn't name the legislator who I think it is because it sounds like him, and he's
that dude out of San Francisco.
Yes, that dude out of San Francisco, and he's an idiot, and he just comes up with the most bizarre issues that impact not only the San Francisco area, but this goofy legislator also impacts the entire state of California should it get passed and get past the Public Safety Committee and the appropriations. Thank goodness we have a good lobby group with Nick Warner, Danielle, Aaron McGuire, and such in Sacramento. And that's why we get together, because a lot of these introduced bills are so asinine, Steve. It just makes you go, okay, this knucklehead who's a legislator.
Tom Amiano's his name.
Exactly. That's exactly who it is. And this buffoon has some of the most bizarre legislative introduced bills known to man. And I wish had I known we were going to be talking about this knucklehead, I would have brought some of the stuff over that he's tried to get passed through the legislature, and you would just go, your hair would be on fire. Notwithstanding, this is the poster child for term limits. I'll be so happy when he is out.
Is he out? Is he close?
I think this will be his last 2 years, so come on 2014, because this character has the most liberal streak that really violates just common sense. And when you introduce bills to go ahead and, I guess, basically defecate where you want, urinate where you want, park your car wherever you want, and that it's okay, good grief, what are you thinking?
So I hear things like this, and they're so, like you said, they're so ridiculous that I like to kind of double check with you to see if somebody's not just making this up.
I wish that you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make up this type of lunacy that we call the Bay Area. And there's some good legislators out of there, but they have the most bizarre slanted view on everybody gets to do whatever they want. You know, the irony of it all is the same legislators that put forth this nonsense are so insulated from the real world because they get elected, they get state vehicles, they get cars, they get this, they get that, and they don't really have to mingle with the other proletariats. Okay, the bourgeois over here, the higher class folks, don't have to deal with the serfs at our level.
And would you classify us as serfs?
Yes.
I'm definitely a serf.
Yes. I'm sorry. Just
I'm proud to be a serf.
You know what? Us proletariats, we're just salt of the earth. You do what you got to do. We work every day. You do what you have. But then you get these characters that are introducing legislation that really impacts the quality of life.
But does something like that actually have a legitimate chance of passing?
You never know.
I mean, that's scary because the Democrats enjoy a supermajority.
Here's what's even more nauseating is that, have you heard the term gut and amend?
Yeah.
Okay.
You and I have talked about that ad nauseum.
Yes.
Which is, I think that's a crime.
It is. So what happens, you could literally, as the legislative season starts to come to an end, if people are not paying attention, you literally could get some type of legislative action akin to what this Amiano guy is trying to do. And
slipped in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying...
Mark, that's not democracy.
But you know what? It's the system that has been developed over the years. I would only hope that the governor, believe me, I would make a phone call, and so would all my counterparts, that he should, heaven forbid, even gets to his desk, that he would find the idiocy involved in all this.
So that's the safety net. He can veto it.
The Governor Brown, he is a great backstop. He'll make phone calls. He called me a couple weeks ago on some appointments and such, and we have a good relationship. And for all his prior, do I dare say, differences in his first go-around, he has really turned the corner when it comes to fiscal responsibility. In working with him, regardless of what you feel about AB 109, we put together I think, a very good piece of legislation. Okay? He also, the governor, has really zeroed in on the budget, finances, this dismal fiscal economy, and trying to rework CEQA and EIRs to help benefit business. So,
yeah, we are. I heard Governor Brown talk about the fact that we have kind of turned the corner fiscally, and that we've got ourselves almost to the point where we've dug ourselves out of this hole. And then I've heard a third-party opinion from the GAO, General Accounting Office, who I take as an impartial source.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's naive or not, but I do take them kind of as an impartial source.
Kind of impartial.
Okay. Anyway, I saw a gentleman from the GAO on the Maddie report, which I watch out of Fresno, and he said it's legitimate that we have turned the corner and are definitely heading in the direction that Governor Brown says we are.
It was a lot of work. California, I think, is always the first to rebound. But in that rebound, unfortunately, the Central Valley is always on the back end of that bouncing fiscal ball. So metaphorically, we will see some recovery, albeit a bit slower than what some of the high-tech areas, you get back to the Bay Area, Southern California where I was, it was booming down over there. People are starting to get out, mill around and such, and the same thing with the Bay Area. Because Central California, absent a few pockets, is basically farm industry driven, we're always on the back side of this recovery. Having said that, I know people are somewhat upset about the new taxes under Prop 30, but with that, I believe there's a sunset on it. So we need to turn the corner, and as much as I hate to say this, it helped provide some stability in state government. Now, I know some are going to take great exception to that, but on a state level, where everybody pays their portion, and we have a sunset clause, I think at this particular time it was the prudent thing to do.
And even here locally, the city of Atwater is facing that very thing. They're going to be looking at March 5th vote for the half-cent sales tax to go towards public safety.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. I'm just staying on the sidelines on that one because I don't want to get in between the gnashing claws and grinding teeth about the proponents and opponents of this measure, because it's just going to be very interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, to just kind of give you the Reader's Digest version, the way I understand it is the concern seems to be that the promise from the city is that the half-cent sales tax will go just for public safety. And then the flip side of that coin, the contrarian argument to that is if they do approve the sales tax, and just for the sake of the conversation, it's $1 million. They put that $1 million earmarked for public safety, but then it frees up some more money in the general fund for the city council to do with what they please. And that's kind of where the rub is.
Yes.
And there's not a whole lot of faith right now in this city council, the Atwater City Council. So that's kind of what the debate is, as far as I understand it.
I think the term that you're looking for is supplanting.
Supplanting?
Supplanting. So going with that theory, and again, I just want to preface this comment by stating I don't have a dog in this fight type thing, and that whatever happens in Atwater, that's on them. But supplanting is, okay, we just like you said in a more generalized way, well, there's $1 million in this budget line. Well, if we get that tax approved, then we'll be able to kind of move that money over for another area and then use the taxes. So and there isn't. I mean, it's very difficult to identify where the money's going. I have great faith in city manager Frank Petro. We've grown up together. I've known him. We went through the ranks. He's got a very difficult job to do, in that he's doing both jobs, police chief and city manager. So you give having to work both realms, just like Gary Breezy out of Los Banos. Gary Breezy is also city manager / police chief. Yeah. So
there's a lot of people wearing a lot of hats right now.
Well, again, and it gets to my point. We're talking about everybody's got collateral duties, for heaven's sakes.
You have anything to do with the MCAG?
No.
Okay, we'll leave that one alone then.
What? Oh, that. Oh, you mean that
the election of the new director and that lack of transparency, or the accusation that there was a lack of transparency?
I'll leave that for Deidre Kelsey and John Pedroso.
John and I talked about it prior to this interview, so if you were listening earlier, you got your fill of that.
Yeah.
You were down in Southern California. We were talking about this Michael Dorner. Was that his name? Christopher Dorner. I'm sorry. Who the one that was shooting cops down there?
Yeah, killed 4 people.
Finally got backed into a cabin up in Big Bear.
Yes.
And the place caught on fire, and they think they found his charred remains. Is that the latest?
It's been supposedly the last news brief that I heard Friday morning was that they were able to identify him as the dead person via dental records.
And one of the troubling things that you and I were talking about, I mean, everybody knows the news on, how it all ultimately came to its conclusion, but you had mentioned, and again, this is where I refuse sometimes to allow myself to go into these realms, but you said that there was actually support for his actions on Facebook or Twitter or something of that nature. People supporting these actions of cold-blooded murder.
Disgusting. Absolutely, unequivocally disgusting that this guy had some type of following justifying the murder of 2 law enforcement officers and 2 innocent, unarmed persons, not to mention a couple other law enforcement officers that were injured by this killer. Crazed killer that was using his dismissal from Los Angeles Police Department to go on this rampage. And let me say this. I know Charlie Beck. The police chief from Los Angeles. I know him to chat with him. We don't have coffee every day because of, obviously, geographics, but enough to say hello, and he's a good person. The sheriff from San Bernardino, John McMahon, there's no reason for him to be going to a funeral next week of his deputy sheriff. The Riverside officer that was killed, that funeral was Wednesday. I know Mike Gardner. Mike Gardner is on the city council for City of Riverside. This was ludicrous. It was unnecessary. And to use your dismissal as a reason to go nuts and make things right to clear your name is asinine.
Right. And I would take it a step further and say no matter how egregious you took that dismissal, I mean, personally, no matter how, maybe you were railroaded. I mean, I don't know this, and I know they're going to revisit the case. No matter how wronged you think you were, under no circumstances does it justify what he did. Under no circumstances does it justify murdering innocent people because you feel like you were so egregiously wronged in the process.
I want to make a very generic statement. In the big scheme of things, when an employee is facing disciplinary action and you go before a board or an administrative law judge, it normally favors, a preponderance of the evidence normally favors the employee. The burden of proof is on the employer. So I take a look at this holistically of what occurred in Los Angeles, where Dorner made these allegations of brutality on his field training officer, who I believe was a female, if I recall, and came forth with these observations. Went through the entire process. And please keep in mind that as a general rule, the employee has to be proven to be wrong, and the preponderance and the burden of proof is on the employer. Been there, done that. So he exhausted all of those processes. The due process afforded him through a series of laws and city policies and regulations in LA, and was found to be untruthful during this, dating back to 2009. I don't know what to tell you, Steve. For persons that have put this guy on a pedestal of righting wrongs down in Southern California, yeah, are there going to be issues in law enforcement? It's just not our industry. I mean, look at the banking industry. I mean, the mortgage meltdown, insider trading, Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC.
I've said it many times. The biggest crooks in this country reside on Wall Street.
Yeah.
I've said it many times.
Okay. So, you know.
Not one of them have gone to jail.
Well, Bernie Madoff has.
Well, that's true.
A couple of them have. So, you know, when they get caught. But usually they can go ahead and mitigate that. Is it criminal, or do they just pay civil penalties? Kamala Harris, our Attorney General, held out for a windfall of billions of dollars to come back to California.
From the mortgage crisis?
Yes, yeah. Type thing. So there are repercussions. Do some go to jail? Maybe not enough.
There's a big difference between paying a monetary penalty and being sent to the pen. And there's a big difference, in my opinion, between being sent to a federal penitentiary and a state penitentiary.
I won't argue with that either. I won't challenge that statement. But getting back to what I'm saying here is that it always appears, and I really get tired of it, that the law enforcement industry is always held to this standard. Yet you need to take a step back. There are a lot of scoundrels in every walk of life, and to hold this killer.
Wearing business suits with an Ivy League degree hanging on the wall behind him.
Yeah,
I'll even go there.
You go, baby. I'm all over it.
But my point is just to kind of add to your disgust that somebody would elevate his actions to something of admiration.
Yes,
is that I don't. If he was railroaded, and I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that even if he was railroaded,
theoretically, sure,
it does not justify his actions. There's nothing that you could do to justify cold-blooded murder of another human being who had nothing whatsoever to do with it.
Correct.
I mean, the poor gal's the daughter of the police officer who represented him. She gets shot in cold murder because she's the daughter.
How'd you like to be the fiancé that they had just drove into their condominium, and all of a sudden they get blown away?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, and ironically,
those are the act of a coward. Those are the acts of a coward.
But they veil it under trying to clear his name. He will be forever known as a cop killer, a killer of innocent people. So, in fact, I was trying to get a hold of Dave Maggard. He's the chief of police in Irvine. In fact, after I get done here, I'm going to call him and see how he's doing. I mean, that was a real whodunit up until they started to get zeroed in on Dorner, and then by that time, they were looking for him quietly, and too late, he's out floating around Southern California and basically wipes out the Riverside officer, wounds the other one. I mean, we were on high alert last Friday. I can't begin to tell you. Everybody was
tactical alert, I think is the technical term.
Well, for LAPD, but even then, we knew at the time when this all broke out last Thursday that this Dorner was on the loose, and they identified him as killing the Riverside police officer, wounding another one, went down to, I believe, Corona, wounded another police officer. He's floating around Southern California being very arbitrary now. He wasn't focused just on those he thought had done him wrong. Anybody in uniform was a target. So here we are down in Riverside, just a few miles away from where the incident happened. I probably downplayed it a little bit last weekend, but I got to tell you, Sheriff Sniff from Riverside had a lot of extra security at the location we were at because nobody knew where this character was at.
Absolutely. I know. And if you had a uniform on, you were a target. But I also read that on his hit list, he had his own mother on there.
Why? I didn't see that.
I didn't get the details, but his mother was on the manifesto. So
well,
maybe, you know what she probably said is, quit whining, go get yourself another job, and get over it.
Possible. It's possible. And he took exception to that. I got to tell you, and then you get into this mental health illness issue regarding gun control. And again, I want to be unequivocal about my embracing the Second Amendment, and we're not going to have anybody come in and start taking away your pistols, guns, shotguns. But here, this guy had access to weapons. You cannot accuse an inanimate object of killing, whether it's a knife, 2x4 hammer, or gun. Those do not kill. They're inanimate. If they leave them there, they stay there.
Absolutely.
It's the person holding it.
And you are responsible for your actions.
Correct.
And that's the society we live in. We're running out of time here, Mr. Mark.
Already? What, did Pedroza take some of my time?
We started talking about that MCAG and got a little crazy there. But
God,
anything else you need to get out? Anything
I got something I got to get out. Doesn't he mind his own business? You know, that's my time.
Well, he's actually on the MCAG board.
Well, then, then how did she get voted in?
Well, you have to listen to the interview and find out.
Oh, very good. Well, there's your teaser. There's your teaser. There's your teaser. Hey, everybody have a good weekend. It should be nice and sunny.
Yeah, 4-day weekend, President's Weekend. So get out and enjoy the weather and say hello to your neighbor.
10-4.
You know, because we're all in this together, right?
You got it.
All right, Mark.
Okay, buddy.
Your time, bud.
Thanks.
Merced County's news voice since 1936. News Talk 1480, KYOS, Merced.